Ephemeral. That's a word that means lasting for a very short time. And ephemeral is how I would describe these desert blooms. They pop up unexpectedly in the most barren and inhospitable landscapes, brightening the scene with their vibrant colors before disappearing just as quickly as they arrived. Most people probably wouldn't even notice these blooms. They're small, they're delicate, and they grow in some pretty remote places. But if you know where to look and when to look, the desert can be an incredible place to experience nature's art. I first saw these little flowers dotting the landscape on a recent trip to the desert Southwest. I was driving through a remote area of southern Utah and spotted a sea of red. At first, I thought it was a sign of some geological anomaly, like maybe a mineral deposit or some kind of pigment in the rock. But then I realized there were tiny little cacti amidst the red, and that gave me my first clue as to what was really happening here. These blooms, also known as desert paintbrush, Indian paintbrush, or sometimes simply red paintbrush, are found throughout the American Southwest and into Mexico. They prefer dry, sandy soil and are often found growing in the cracks of arid washes and along trails, roadsides, and railroad tracks. In some years, they bloom as early as February. Here in Utah, they typically bloom in the spring and summer. Desert paintbrush is a wildflower, which means it doesn't rely on people to grow and reproduce, but it does rely on a delicate balance of environmental conditions to thrive. And one of those conditions is fire. Some seeds need a hot fire to break their dormancy and begin the germination process. Once germinated, these little plants grow toward the surface of the sand, and when their roots reach a certain length, they pop up above the sand to bloom. And it's in the blooming that these plants really put on a show. Their brilliant red color is a stark contrast against the muted tones of the desert landscape. And when the sun hits the blooms just right, they seem to glow from within. But this glow, this moment of radiant beauty, only lasts for a few hours each day. As the sun moves lower in the sky, the blooms begin to wilt, retreating back into the sand to reappear again another day. When I think about these desert blooms, I'm reminded of the Japanese art of kintsugi, which is the practice of repairing broken pottery with gold. Kintsugi is an acknowledgement of the imperfections in life, a way of honoring the past and finding beauty in the broken pieces. These ephemeral desert blooms are their own form of kintsugi. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe to my channel to see more of my work. And if you do like to learn more about desert paintbrush or other wild edible plants in your area, consider following me on social media. I'll see you next time.